Sandpoint, Idaho is a sprawling metropolis of just under 8,000 people. When I was a little kid living right by the Canadian border, I used to think of this as the huge city that we would go visit when we needed to do some shopping. It's obviously not actually that big with just under 8,000 people, so it might be kind of difficult to find some places for vegetarian food, but that's what we're gonna do.
The search for veggies our first night started to feel a bit more like a Lord of the Rings quest after the first place we intended to visit was closed for renovations, the second had a 30-minute wait, and the next had a 2-hour wait. When we finally arrived at Fiesta Bonita and it was open, my tummy was ready to call whatever they served us precious. It did end up being pretty precious. I'd probably trade the one ring for their appetizer quesadilla, to be honest. Middle Earth would understand. The quesadilla included bell peppers, onions, and mushrooms among the cheesy goodness. It was also topped with plenty of guac and sour cream. The cost was just under $10. I followed it up with enchiladas de espinaca, which typically come with shrimp, but I asked for a plate without sea creatures because, as a wise shark once said, they are friends, not food. The enchiladas, of course, included spinach, as well as mushrooms, pico de gallo, their house cream sauce, and cheese. They're served with rice and beans. You can go with the refried option if you're not a strict vegetarian. You can go with the refried option if you like to pretend to be blissfully unaware of possible lard in the beans. Or you can have guilt-free frijoles and ask for whole black beans instead. These enchiladas were fantastic. As a certified cheese enthusiast, I'd almost consider calling in a takeout order and driving all day to pick them up. They'll run you $12.50. After eating entirely too much cheese, follow-up ice cream is the way to go, right? We did so at Panhandle Cone and Coffee. As you can see, there were so many options to push our stomachs past the breaking point. I went with 2 scoops of salted caramel and brown butter cookie. If you look closely at this footage, you can see the tiny white flag my stomach is flying in my direction. Gluttony never tasted so good. 10 out of 10 would recommend for people who like to be rolled around on vacation.
If you've already spent a ton of money going out to restaurants and you want a cool place to have a picnic, you can bring your vegetables on over to Priest Lake State Park and enjoy eating on the beach. Just, whenever you do that, there's a little risk of some sand, but that's vegetarian, so you're all right.
It was a nice place for a lunch picnic. We did have to fend off ravenous bees who thought our beach mat needed to be pollinated, but it's still a nice place to eat a peanut butter and pickle sandwich. After burning loads of calories lying down at a beach for hours, it was time to reward ourselves by testing our waistbands once again. This time we headed to 2nd Avenue Pizza. The wait time here is long. I would not recommend going with someone who suffers from hangry bouts, so it's a good thing I was not with my brothers. After about an hour, we got our appetizer, the medium pesto bread with sauce. It's basically a pesto pizza. It runs you $6.50. I make pesto pizza myself at least once a month because I think chiseled abs are totally overrated. Theirs is pretty decent and very filling. If it's just 2 of you and you have the self-control that has always eluded me, you can probably just order that. However, I laugh in the face of moderation. We also got a medium build-your-own 2-topping pizza for $13.95. We chose tomatoes and mushrooms. This was pretty dang tasty, too. I'd give this place overall about an 8 out of 10. I'd give the pesto close to a 9. I was very content to have melted cheese running through my veins by the end of the night. Sandpoint may be a small town, but it will leave your belly much bigger than it was when you arrived.